Next up, Suzanne Green will ask the following question from the audience.
Would you support an abortion ban in Alabama?
I believe we're
I'm next.
Yes, I think so.
I have already pre-filed an abortion ban in Alabama. I pre-filed it's on October the 13th. I pre-filed a series of anti-abortion bills. One of the bills that I pre-filed, which was the toughest of those bills, actually outlaws, it's a constitutional amendment to allow the people of Alabama to outlaw abortion except in the case of rape, incest, and the life of the mother. There were some other bills that I also pre-filed with that, however. One was a bill that defined a baby as a separate entity. Now, the reason this is important is to show, as far as Roe versus Wade, who said the Roe versus Wade ruling, which by the way is not codified, Roe versus Wade says that it's potential life. What I said in my bill is it is already life and it's separate life from the mother. This is very important. This is a bill that we really do need to pass. The second thing that I put in my series of bills was a resolution opposing the Freedom of Choice Act. The Federal Freedom of Choice Act, which President Obama said would be the first bill that he would sign, this bill would codify Roe versus Wade. Codify means it would put into code. And when it does that, it would do away with all state regulations. So this is a resolution that I put in this group of bills. The last one deals with freedom of conscience. And this bill is a very tough bill, but we are only one of 3 states that does not have a Freedom of Conscience Act, so that healthcare workers like myself cannot be forced to do abortions or be involved in euthanasia. So this is the 4th of the 4 bills that I have already pre-filed. Thank you.
Yes, I am anti-abortion. One of the things that I specifically would do is I know that there are tens of thousands of families out there who cannot have children and desperately want children and actually travel to China and to Russia to adopt babies. And I would work with faith and community-based organizations to make sure that every single person who got pregnant and didn't want that child knew that there was a loving family out there that would desperately desire to have that child and to raise that child as their own and to love that child, and do everything I could to make sure there was a system in place that every single person that had a pregnancy they didn't want, that they knew that there was a loving family out there standing by to love and raise that child.
I support the Freedom of Conscience Act that Robert was talking about. I believe that life begins at conception. I'm against abortion in all cases across the board. Any state amendments or statutes or constitutional amendments that we do, we ought to do it, but the problem is the usurpative nature of the U.S. Supreme Court in Roe versus Wade. This issue was and is a state question. And no matter what we do in Alabama, the battle lies in the federal system. And we can pass a statute tomorrow, but that is not going to outlaw abortion. We have taken the lives of 50 million unborn babies in this country since 1973. Reckon what the good Lord thinks about that. This battle is the cultural battle that's raging across this land. What really needs to happen, and we're not there yet, is we need a federal constitutional amendment ratified by 3/4 of the states and I think 2/3 of the Senate to federalize a question and give it the legitimacy that it should have. In the meantime, we fight the battle doing these sorts of things and getting with other states and do our dead level best to wrestle away what the federal government has done. And I think we're getting there. You know, it's funny, as I travel across the state, it's been a while. But you hear this issue beginning to bubble once again, and even during these tough economic times. So it's on people's mind. And I just think in the days ahead, all these social questions that have been put to the side over the last 20 years are now working their way to the top. And I think it's a good thing for this great nation.